But think about what human rights means to you momentarily. What is the perception of your human rights? And what is the picture or image about human rights? I think you have your own image and pictures. Every student have a different views about human rights. But I have found out that in many cases in developing countries, even in South Korea, the image of human rights are very negative. It is negative, I mean, they think of more, not positive, more depression or some suffering, exploitation, rather than happiness. And also the negative view coming from the understanding of human rights, that human rights is, the concept of human rights came from the Western society. So it is a Western thing. It is not ours. It is not reflecting of our human rights. But it is actually the fact that the concept of human rights developed in Western society, and institutions are also created by the Western people. But it is not to say that human rights is not universal. In every civilization, in fact, there is a respect for human rights. I have another question here. Speaking of peace, development, and human rights, what is happening in North Korea, in Korean Peninsula? We don't have a peace. Nuclears continue to make nuclear threats. And there is a possible, realistically possible war. In terms of development, we know that North Korea is suffering from the underdevelopment. And in terms of human rights, there's severe violations of human rights happening in North Korea. And what we have done, I mean, what should we do? You know, ever since establishment of United Nations, okay, is it fault? Why that so? Is it all fault of the North Korean regime? Can you say it's all fault of the North Korean regime? The regime is problematic. Regime is gone. Then everything will be resolved. I don't think so. The problem, I mean, we all have a responsibility for those problems. It's not, I mean, not just the North Korean people or North Korean regime. It's everybody's responsibility. Okay? I hear say, it's a very important statement, human rights is core infrastructure for peace and development. Okay? Infrastructure, you know what the infrastructure means? You know, road, you know, airport, plants, those things. Infrastructure, without infrastructure, you cannot have any the economic activities. Who is providing infrastructure? Infrastructure is provided by the state, right? Infrastructure in global society should be provided by the global people. Maybe UN can do it, but UN cannot work without help of people. So if we didn't provide enough infrastructure for the North Korea to have those institutions, then it's our responsibility. So we have to find out what we can do. Just not just saying that it's a problem of North Korea. But unfortunately, human rights have been means rather than ends in the context of North Korea. Human rights should be ends rather than means, right? Respect for human rights should be the fundamental, final goal of our various public efforts. But human rights of North Korea was politicized, and they have different purposes. So that's something I want to explain in the next slide.